What up, Marsh Pod? Commitment craze officially underway. We're starting to see some names trickle in. The biggest one thus far, Benari James to Heartland Zombie Stars. I think that has to be the connection there with Brian Loveless. I would not have been surprised had the Lakeshore Drive been the ultimate destination for Benari James. Obviously breaks my prediction though, so love to see that. Not going to North Carolina, but he will be. That's a big move. And Heartland is a group that I would expect to be pretty active. Loveless is going to have a lot of work to do in a short amount of time to get that team, built out in the vision that he has. So I would fully expect that team to be very much an active one and a common one in terms of both final destinations, but also potentially linked destinations. Player X might be going somewhere. I think there's probably going to be a lot of that coming up, right? We've heard these. There's momentum towards. There's player expects this, or source expects this. I think a lot of that's going to kind of get pulled to light. The big one was Royce Anderson and Dime Hardaway, right? Those two are going to team up. Oh, it looks like they might be going back to the Bay. All signs are pointing to that. That's a tough one to pull off. The teams that I've heard linked to the two players, both of them, teams will have to have some challenges because one of them's in Florida, one of them's in California. So, if they want to team up, I don't know how easy that's going to be for them based off the sponsorships available across the league. Obviously, Yacht Club, that would be a for sure easy one. You bring in Royce and you bring in Dime Hardaway, but that really seems to not be the case anymore, right? Even Royce came out and said he's not going there, so that seems unlikely. If they do team up and they go back to Bay Area, that also feels kind of unlikely just because of the type of talent that is on that roster. That was their big challenge from the beginning, right? That, at least my opinion of it was, that's a team that's got so much talent, it's almost detrimental to these players. So it seems like that could be a spot for both of them, but it would be tough to envision it. So maybe that's a Best Coast or a Showtime. California is an in-region team that teams don't need to use sponsorships on for only those three California teams. So could Showtime, could they pair up with Corey Yams down in Los Angeles? That'd be a good group. Could they go to Best Coast? That's a team that has, we've heard DJ Davis has been linked to them. There's nothing concrete on that. And outside of him, that team has not been a popular name amongst these big groups. Could we see Royce and Dime team up with Best Coast Ballers because, hey, we need some talent, and we've got to be able to bring in some big names. Those are big names. We've got a lot of roster spots. That could make sense. So that's an interesting one for me to watch. A couple other names to watch. I think it's interesting what Richard Hennessy's going to do, where he could potentially end up. I think there's been kind of a moving of his potential options. Cole Webb is going to be an interesting one. Very much a big sought-after name coming out of Australia. Where could we potentially see him? Could it be at a team that maybe we're not thinking of? Could it be Gotham 5, right? They could pair him with Williams underneath, and you've got a really nice option. Could it be Beast of the East, where you're with Levin Cutler and you're almost replacing Fareed Redmond? We haven't heard of the Showtime basketball organization making any type of big names. Could he be potentially going there? So there's a lot of questions that I'm very much excited to get the answers to, because we're going to start seeing, one, what coaches carry the most weight, right? Which coaches are respected, because I think that's going to be a deciding factor for a lot of these moves, right? Hey, I've got an offer to be a starter this season. I'm going to throw out a name at Rocky Mountain Monsters, right? This isn't anything to do with Coach Robinson. I'm not saying that. But could a player turn around and say, well, I'd rather be with Coach Pope because he's got Trey Hyman on his team. Both of them are extremely vocal players, and I want to go to that team instead. I'm not saying that that's the direct comparison, but I think it's going to say a lot. Are we ever going to figure out where these guys are getting offers from? Probably not, but it'll be fascinating to see the pull that some of these coaches have. The same with Coach Drayton, friend of the pod. Could he be, carrying more weight than maybe people are realizing in the influence of these players? Coach Bilardi now on his third team. So is he able to now go not only two different states but two different parts of a continent and bring in talent and develop it? All of this is going to be figured out. It doesn't appear like we're getting a ton of more nationally known names, as SimWorld Prep had DJ Wagner, had Bronny James last season. Of course, Bryce James has left SimWorld Prep to pursue other opportunities. Are we thinking that, we're not seeing a lot of names come in? Flag turned it down, or whatever the official agreement or determination came from, whether that was SimWorld Prep not wanting him or the other way around. We don't know that right now, but it's going to be an exciting year. A departure of some really notable names, but the return of some. And as I said, I think Kai Killens is going to be a big name to watch this season too. So seeing where some of those new names are going to go is an exciting piece of it all. So we'll be back Friday. We're going to have 5 days of soft commitments to break down. From what I've been told, coaches, right, they get 2 commitments at any point through this time. Players, they can change their mind, right? So it's going to be exciting. We'll be open to it, and man, I can't wait. Let's rock. Talk to you Friday.